Welcome to the Digital Arc's online demo of our mobile cataloging system RICEpadi, short for Rapid Image Capture Engine. This video will focus on the desktop version of the cataloging system, which works in conjunction with the mobile platform. After using the mobile platform to catalog items in your collection, an administrator or another individual would use the desktop version to review those cataloged items, to enter additional metadata, to review the metadata that's already been entered, and finally an administrator would review and approve those cataloged items. As you can see on the dashboard, some of the information is what you already saw on the mobile platform, including on the left side the cataloged items, how many items have been imaged, and finally the reviewed items. These reviewed items would be for an administrator, again, to review and approve. But first I'm going to show you the metadata status. Under the cataloged status, and I'll click on that, I'm going to look at all of the records which have been cataloged on the mobile platform. And for us, this means that an accession number was generated, there's a title field, a condition field, and finally an image. If I go back to the dashboard and I click on the basic metadata status, that's going to show me records where all of the basic metadata fields have been filled. And for us, on the basic metadata tab, we have, in addition to accession number and title, an object identifier, which at some institutions is distinct from the accession number, a date, subject, and again the condition and image. And I can scroll through to look at any records with that status. Finally, you may also at your institution have additional optional metadata fields which you may or may not want to enter for items. Right now we don't have those defined. As an administrator, I'm going to now review items which have not yet been reviewed. In this case, this has a record status of cataloged, so it doesn't even have the basic metadata entered. So I am going to first enter that information. Great, now all of my basic metadata fields have been entered and the record status has updated to basic metadata. I'm going to show you that on the Extended tab, this is where your institution can define which metadata fields are optional, but you may want to enter. Under the Search tab, we can have as many metadata fields as we'd like to be able to search on. And finally, as an administrator, I have an Administrative tab, which shows me that this record has not yet been reviewed. At this point, I have reviewed it, it has all the basic metadata, and I have approved it, so I'm going to mark it as reviewed, which will date stamp it and identify me as the administrator, that it's been reviewed. There are also some administrative actions here which you may or may not want to use. For example, sometimes you'll run across two duplicate records for one unique collection item. In that case, you may want to delete one of those records or possibly merge the two records. Also, sometimes you may want to deaccession a record for an item that's been deaccessioned from your collection. And in addition, you also are able to add images here on the desktop version, although it's much faster and easier to do it as I showed in the demo for the mobile platform using the mobile device. Let me also show you on the dashboard the collections. Now for this demo we only have one collection, so if I click on that it's going to show me all 11 records, and I can scroll through the records to look at them. I can look at each record in a record view but I can also click on this to toggle between list view and record view. So I can scroll up and look at all of the items in this collection. Let me also show you how to use the favorites lists. You can create multiple favorites lists, which are a nice tool for collaborating with your colleagues and using lists to, for example, if I had an exhibit coming up and I wanted to create a favorites list for items that I think should be in the exhibit, and then show that to my curator and get her feedback. So let me show you under favorites lists. Currently there's a default list which doesn't have any items in it. Then I've created an artwork exhibit favorites list which has 4 items in it. Let's take a look at that. So currently I have 4 items in this list, and I think I want to look at a few more and add them. So let me go and look at all the items in my collection, and I think that the Buddha sculpture might be a good one. So I'm going to add that to one of my favorites lists. I'm going to add it to the artwork exhibit list. Great. And if I go back and I look at the list, let's say my curator logs in and she sees this list and she reviews it and decides, you know, I only want 2-dimensional artwork. I don't think we want any sculptures, so let me remove that from this list. And it's going to ask me to confirm that. Great. If I go back and view the lists, I will see that that item has now been removed. The reports are customizable based upon each institution, so we don't yet have any reports available. And that concludes the demo of the desktop version. Thank you.